What's going on? It is Coach AJ Lew, and welcome to episode number 2 of the Inspired Efforts podcast. So, let me ask you a question. Have you ever just been carefree? Like, I'm talking the good kind of carefree where, you don't really care what anybody thinks. You don't really care what anybody says. You're just living your best life. You're just doing you, right? You're kind of feeling yourself, right? So listen, man, when I was in college, I remember being 18 years old and went up to Utah, and it was like my first couple days there. I was meeting all my new teammates, and I was just, meeting all these new people, trying to see what college was like. I had no idea what to expect. Nobody in my family had actually gone away to college, somewhere else and lived in the campus community and done all that stuff. I had no idea what to expect, right? So I remember going out to Utah and meeting a buddy, and this kid's name was Kirby, right? And Kirby was like this kind of goofy, funny dude from small town Utah. I think his town had like 800 people in it or something. Super small town, kind of country. And me and Kirby were talking one day, and we were like, hey, let's go check out the dorms, right? Neither one of us lived in the dorms. We lived in apartments off campus. So we walk over and we go to the dorms, and we have someone let us in, right? And when we get in the dorms, we look and we're like, oh, there's names. There's names on every single door, right? There's names on every single door. And we looked at each other and we're like, do you want to go introduce ourselves to all the girls, right? What else would you do as an 18-year-old kid? And Kirby, I said that to him, and Kirby's like, shit, yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. So we go and we get ready, and the first door, I don't remember what the name is, but it has some name on it. We go, this girl opens the door, and we're like, hey, what's going on? She's like, hi. We're like, hey, we're just coming by. We want to introduce ourselves to everyone that lives here and just say hello. So when you see us around, you see a friendly face. And she's like, okay, cool. I'm da-da-da-da. I'm from where? Where are you from? Where are you at? Da-da-da-da. Right? And so it was a success, right? I don't remember if, him or I got a number. I don't remember any of that stuff. I just remember it was a success, okay? And so we go on the next door. And the next one, and we literally hit 4 stories worth of dorm rooms. Every single door that had a girl's name on it. Every single door that had a girl's name on it, right? By the end of it, anytime I was at a party at somewhere around campus, walking around, I knew tons of people because I'd be walking and a girl would be like, what's up, AJ? And I'd be like, oh, snaps. I don't remember your name, but I kind of vaguely remember you, right? But I knew all these people because went out and just didn't care, right? Completely carefree. The first time my heart was beating a little bit, get a little nervous, right? But then after that, it's just like, this is what it is, right? You're just talking to people. Fast forward. 9 years later, right? 9 years later, I'm in outside sales, right? I'm in outside sales for the first time. And we have these things that we're required to do called in-person prospecting, or IPPs. And an IPP is basically where you show up to a business. They don't know who you are. They have no idea what you do. And you go in and you try to get as much information as possible with the intention of setting a meeting with the decision maker, right? And so I remember having to do these IPPs, and I was at downtown Summerlin when it was brand new here in Las Vegas. And there was only a couple places open, right? And I remember being down there, and I was like, oh, shoot, okay. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to talk to these people, right? Like, I've never done this before. I was so much more nervous. I was sweating, and I felt like almost like a little kid, right? My shoulders were tucked and my head was down, and it was kind of like I didn't really know what to say, and I didn't really know what to do. And I remember walking into the business, and I'm like, hey, is your owner available? And they're like, no, the owner doesn't come in. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, what would be the best way to get a hold of them? They're like, well, here's the card and the email address or whatever. You can email him. And I walk out, and it was like, oh my gosh! I get out of there, and my heart's like thumping a million miles an hour, and my body, like my palms are sweating, my body's all tense, right? I could feel it like from the top of my head down to my toes. My body's super tense, and then I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do that again, right? Nothing happened, nothing crazy happened, right? But I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do that again. So then I was like, you know what, I got to do it, right? I got to do it. So I go to the next business, and same thing. Hey, is the owner available? And it's actually the owner that I'm talking to. Introduce myself. Hey, what's going on? My name's AJ. With da 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 da. Look, I just started doing this, but I want to see if we could set up a meeting. He's like, okay, for what? Well, we help businesses with their uniforms, da 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 da, all this kind of stuff. He's like, okay, well, we have someone right now, but what do you guys do? What do you guys offer? And then eventually we get into the flow of the conversation, and we're just flowing, right? Everything's cool. And I walked out of that meeting, and all that tense stress and all that stuff just relieved, right? Relaxed. And so when I walked out of that meeting, what I realized is, just like back, when I was in college and going to meet all the girls, like, the nervousness ends when you take action. You know what I mean? The nervousness ends after you take action. So what happens is we imagine all these scary, terrifying, horrific outcomes that could happen, and it paralyzes us, right? It turns on our fight or flight response. And it's no different than like back in the day when our ancestors were out hunting, and a freaking saber-toothed tiger or a lion or something was there, and they're like, oh crap, right? They freeze, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Should I run? Should I stay? And it is a physiological response that now, because we don't live in a stressful world, right? All of our stress is created in our own minds. Well, now what happens is we create stress ourselves. So social engagement, or projects, deadlines, timelines, money, relationships, all of these things stress us out now, where it used to be things that would really kill us, but now it's stuff that's just like, mental. It's all mental. And the outcome that you want is on the other side of that, right? The outcome that you want, the cool, confident, collective, swagger that you want, is on the other side of action. The only way to get past the fear is to act through it, right? The only way to overcome your fear is to push through it. And it's not easy, right? You're going to be sweating. Your palms are going to be sweaty. Your heart's going to be beating a million miles an hour. You're not going to know what to say. You're not going to know what to do. But the only way to get past it is just to do it, right? You might go in and fumble and look like a fool, but that's okay. That's okay, right? You have to look like a fool sometimes to get to the other side. When you first start doing something, you're going to suck, right? Think of whatever it is that you're amazing at right now. Maybe you're a great basketball player, or maybe you're a great chess player, or maybe you're great at graphic design, or you're great at being on video, or you're great at teaching, right? Whatever it is that you're great at. When you first tried to do it, you sucked. You did, right? Like, no different than riding a bike. The first time you tried to ride that bike, we all fell over. We got back up and we tried again. And we got back up and we tried again, right? And it's not a magic pill, right? It's not a magic formula for success, but action is the way that you have to go. You have to take actions in order to get to the other side. And no matter how fearful you are, look, in the reality, the worst thing that would have happened is, when I was going knocking on business owners' doors, is someone says, no, we're not interested. Please don't come by here anymore. Ah! Ah! You just killed me. Right? That's what we think about that when we get that answer. But that's literally the worst answer that we can really get. Or I hate salespeople. Don't ever come back here. I don't like cold silent salespeople. Ah! Right? We get terrified over that, but that's the worst that can happen. I'm 6'2", 260 pounds. Business owner try to act crazy. I'm the wrong guy, right? So there's no real fear other than the fear we make up in our minds. So the question is, how many areas of your life are you doing the same thing? Are you creating all this fear, but instead of just going through it, instead of pushing through it, you're letting that fear paralyze you. You're letting that fear keep you from action. You're letting that fear keep you from doing the things you want to do, having the things you want to have, living the life you want to live. It's not easy, man, but all it is a decision, right? Taking action. Your goals, where you want to be, is on the other side of fear, which requires you to take action. That's it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.